This video is going to be an introduction to EditTags, which is a protocol designer that was written to make it easy for users to create and change protocols for the TagTags mobile app. Let's begin by explaining the layout of the application itself. These icons at the top of the window are controls for your most common operations in any type of document, such as creating a new file, opening and saving, as well as some other tools that should help you when you're working with EditTags. The icons to the left are rather for manipulating parts of the document, such as moving them around or changing their input type, while the larger field to the right is where specific options for different types of fields will appear. Let's start by adding a field to this empty document. This is done by pressing the plus icon on the top toolbar, which brings up the New Block dialog. There are 11 different types of fields that you can add, but for this presentation I will begin with a simple text field. However, selecting any type of field in this dialog will show you a short description of what that type of field does. Now that the field has been added, we can see that it has appeared in the list in the main window and that the options for it are being displayed to the right. As you can see, there are a couple of options to choose from. Some types of input fields have options that are specific to that type, but the text type only utilizes the general options. I will give you a short description of what these general options do. The mandatory field option instructs the app to ensure that the user filling out the protocol does not unintentionally forget to fill it in. So if it has not been filled in, the app will highlight it and display a warning message when the user tries to leave the page that it's on. The remembers values option will tell the app that the value in this field is unlikely to change very often. So after a user has filled it out on any page in the app, that value will be automatically pre-selected when the user moves to the next page. Index columns are used by the app for navigation between rows of data in the document. Preferably, the columns designated as index columns should together provide a unique identifier of a row of data. For example, a combination of a site name and the name of the project it belongs to. The Show in Title row option will place the field at the top of the document when it's viewed in TagTags. The field will also span across all columns used by other fields, which makes titles, for example, stand out a bit more. The Show in Column option is where you select in which column the field should appear in the app. The default value is column 1, and you can technically have any number of columns, but in EditTags it has been capped to 8, since I find it unlikely that you would need more than that. Note that this option will have no effect if the Show in Title row option has been selected. A display conditional is a logical expression that has to be true for the field to be displayed in the app, which becomes useful when certain samples are only taken at certain sites, for example. The Reload Page option will tell the app to reload the page when data in this field has changed, which allows any field that has a display conditional to re-evaluate the condition. The Hidden option is pretty self-descriptive. Checking this box will make the field permanently hidden in the app, so it should only really be used for data that the user of the app does not need to see. Data in hidden fields can still be used in expressions, however. Let's move on by showing you a more complex document. Since most protocols will in the end have similar layouts, I have added a few templates that can be selected while creating a new document. Let's start with the Species Registration form, which is for collecting information about species that have been observed in the field. This template starts off with a couple of more fields, and it also uses a couple of different types of fields. Each type has its own unique icon, which should make it easier to navigate the document, since you can very quickly spot which type a field belongs to. The fields in the template may or may not be relevant to your purposes, so let's expand on this protocol a bit. Say, for example, that you would like to include some more specific information about the organism that has been observed. In this case, I would like to gather a bit more information if it happens to be a plant. So let's start by adding a new field. I will use a chooser field, which allows the user to make a selection from a predefined list of options that are always visible. Let's call the field Type of Plant. Now let's add a few options that the user can choose from. Now, it doesn't make much sense for this field to be visible if the observed organism happens to be anything other than a plant. So we need to add a display conditional to our new field. Start by selecting the field where the user can specify that the organism is a plant, then click the gear icon to the left and select Copy Reference Code. This code is used to guide the app to the correct source field. Now go back to the new field and paste this code into the conditional field and add equals plant to the end. Now this field will only show up after the user has specified that the organism was a plant. We also need to make sure that the field has a chance to be displayed by selecting the reload page property for the other field, which the new field depends on. Let's have a look at what our protocol might look like when we load it into the app. The button with the eye icon on the top toolbar will show you an approximate preview of the protocol. As you can see, our new field has been automatically placed at the bottom of the document and in the column to the left, while the initial field is in the column to the right. So to make them line up in the app, we first have to move the new field up so that it's directly below the original field, and then set its column to column 2. And finally, I have some support material that I would like to associate with my protocol and make easily accessible when I am out in the field. This is done by pressing the document icon on the top toolbar and then adding any type of document to the list. The app will be able to open anything as long as you have another application installed that is capable of handling that file type. Be aware that you need to move these documents to each device manually, and they should always be located in the same folder as the protocol file. Now we're ready to load the protocol into the app and have a look at how it will appear for users.